Hello, hello, hello. Hope you're all having a good one. Welcome back to the channel. I am Babbling Bike. Let's get into it. Hello, Kick. Hello, Twitch. Hello, YouTube. All right, let's go ahead and turn this music down a little bit. So we're talking patch notes today, man. We are talking patch notes. Let me just... jump into the game. I didn't see a reason to change it, so change up the build. So I'm just on Smite and Ignite. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw. Well, we could probably wait for some more people to show up. Though it does look like a lot of people are like, let's talk patch notes. So, I'm a little bit lower on the list right now. One thing I saw, the Forge Guard changes look pretty decent. I'll have to compare it though. I'll have to compare it, like with what they currently have. Because even though I'm a big Sentinel Andy, I haven't played a ton of Forge Guard. Okay, so let's take a look at the Forge Guard tree. Let me go ahead and pull up the patch notes here. There we go. We got patch notes. Let's go down to Sentinel changes. It might be Sentinel. Yeah. Okay, so let's go down to Forge Guard changes. So they said time and faith has been changed, which I believe was this one. So instead of a flat, so they're saying missing health. Time and faith now grants 2% of missing health restored per point from 5. Let's bring these over here real quick. Actually, let's do something like that. Okay, so time and faith now grants 2% missing health. That's this node over here, which right now is just 5 flat. We can directly use Rive, Vengeance, Smite, or Multi-Strike. It doesn't look like the mana portion's been changed. Relentless now grants 50 stun avoidance per point from 20. Was that? Yeah, that was Relentless. Okay. Second mastery bonus, the Stalwart buff now gives 10% increased armor for each hit. Okay, so it's this. Recently refers to the last 4 seconds. The second mastery bonus now gives 10% increased armor for each hit you have taken in the last 10 seconds, up to 10 stacks. Okay. I don't know if that's a buff. I don't think it's a nerf. I think it's different. Because one thing I liked about playing Forge Guard, it was the fantasy of hit me, bro. Hit me. And like when I pushed some, not like super far, but like I pushed like some 300-400 corruption on Forge Guard in beta. And now that's beta. And I could definitely tell, like, when you went up against a big pack and they're all hitting you at once, bro. I'm wondering if that change was implemented because of healing hands. Because I started noticing, like, Forge Guard just started, like, ruling some of the leaderboards. And that buff right there, because that was one thing with, like, the Divine Bolt build. You were kind of missing out, like, I don't know. I'd have to look at the trees, the skill trees. Because it's different. Like, you're going to be able to hit cap faster. Like, because that's going to be 100% increased armor for each hit. Not each hit. That's 10% increased armor for each hit you have taken. In the last 10 seconds, up to 10 stacks. 100% increased armor. Previously 3%, no stack, 10 seconds. I've definitely seen like close to 100 stacks. Like, I've seen close to 100 stacks within 10 seconds. Like a 300% bonus. Now, for the average player, most people playing, I don't think, like, it's a change. Because, like, this really became good in, like, super late game. But, like, leveling and all that, it was kind of minuscule. You get hit, like, 4 times before you kill them. Didn't really provide much. This is going to give you much better. But, yeah, that's a big change. Unflinching now grants 100 stun avoidance per point. What is unflinching? Oh, there we go. 100. The whole stun avoidance system still confused me, man. Like, I have stun... Like, I have... Well, let's look at my current build right now. I have over 1,000 stun avoidance. When you take a hit, you have a chance to be stunned equal to stun chance equals 2 times damage dealt, max health plus current ward, minus 500 plus stun avoidance, 5,000. Due to the formula above, at a 0% increased stun chance and 0 stun avoidance, non-player hits must deal more than 5% of a target's maximum health to have a chance to stun them. Every 100 stun avoidance raises this threshold by 1%. When you are stunned, you become immune to stuns for 1 second after the stun ends. Okay. So it's a little bit of a buffer, but, you know, the bigger one hits you take, the more likely you are to be stunned. Shieldbreaker now only adds 3 mana to throwing skills. Okay, let's take a look at this. That is going to be good. That's going to be good. This was already a really good pickup for... This right here was already a good pickup if you were playing, like, Novadin. Yeah. That's going to be good. Only 3. You take 2 of those, bam, you're off to the races. Hammer and Anvil I know got changed. Fresh from the Forge effects have been replaced. It now grants 1 melee physical damage, 1 melee fire damage. What's fresh from the Forge? Oh yeah, you can get flat. Every 3 seconds you would get flat. And so they've changed it. It now grants 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so they're tuning it more towards Forge Guard as opposed to just being a generic. Iron Attunement. Let's look at Iron. That's liquid iron. Iron Attunement, which gave attunement armor, minion armor. Okay, let's take a look at this. Now has a threshold bonus, which grants 1% armor mitigation over time taken per 2 attunements. So if you're like that, I don't know if everybody and their mother is going to be dipping into Forge Guard for that, because that's way over here. That's kind of a long way you have to go, but that could be good. Does it say anything about... Okay. Well, let's just get there. Champion of the Forge effects have been replaced. It now grants 10% critical strike chance if you're using two-handed. It now also has a threshold bonus, which grants 1% critical strike multiplier per 2. I think Champion of the Forge is this. Yes. Okay, so increase melee damage with the two-handed weapon. I remember picking this up on a few different characters. So does that mean... What's going to happen to, like, Duelist? It now grants 10% critical strike chance if you're using a two-handed weapon. Because they already kind of have something down here. So instead of just extra damage, it's now crit chance with the two-handed weapon, which grants 1% crit strike multiplier per 2 strength if you're using a two-handed weapon. Per 2 strength. So if you stack 100 strength, you gain 50% critical strike multiplier. Okay. Molded. So all of this has been replaced. Yeah. I'm not surprised. I mean, if you made it all the way over here, this just seemed like such a bland, like, oh boy, I made it to the end of the tree. I can get increased melee attack speed with a two-handed sword. Yeah. You now grants 1% parry chance and 3% attack speed per point when dual wielding 2 strength per point with a two-handed weapon. And 6% frailty chance and 3%. Wait. 6% frailty? Like chance to apply frailty? That could be a worthy pickup for Forge Guard. Possibly. If you can't get it on your amulet or your gloves or your relic or weapon, I guess. That could be a worthy pickup. You know, drop a couple points in there, especially if you got high attack speed. Thornmail. Shield Crafter. Okay. Infinite Bulwarks, increase option use. It also applies to your minions. I think that was this. Doesn't look like they changed liquid at all, which is fine. But you could take that and that if you're stacking attunement. Guardian now grants 10% increased stun chance per point from 6. Folded Steel now grants 2% increased duration per point for forged weapons. Okay. Javelineer has a threshold bonus. I think that was this. Granting 1% throwing critical strike chance for 5. Yeah, this was... There we go. Yeah. Some good pickups for the Forge Guard. They needed it. But Void Knight, the way they were teasing it, I was like, oh, bro. There's probably going to... No, there was literally just 2 changes to Void Knight. I was thinking, bro, there's going to be like 3 or 4 changes. This one kind of irks me. I'm not going to lie, chat. This kind of irks me. And it's not the 1% more melee void damage per 3. Like, that's cool. There's a scaling option there. Vitality and Void Knight are harmonious. Very harmonious, but it's the fact that it's still melee void damage. Right? You're still kind of pigeonholed into that melee void damage. And what if you wanted to stack strength? This bonus is kind of, I mean, I'm sure you'll have some vitality, but I mean, so at 90 vitality, you're going to have 30% more melee. That's actually quite substantial for sure. At 90 vitality, that's quite substantial. And your Void Cleave and your Erasing Strike will scale with vitality. But I'm kind of over this whole melee void. I've been doing so many builds. Well, not so many, but I've been trying to do different builds with Void Knight that are not melee. And there's not a whole lot of options, you know? Sure, you got like Temporal Corruption and Void Bolts, but you also got flat melee void damage from Void Blades. Increased melee void damage from Finality. There's a Time Rot. Duration, you got this vitality, okay, but look, melee time rot chance. That is an increase to void damage. I grant you that. That is an increase to void damage. I grant you that. Eternal Form's going to be great. It was already an auto pick anyway. There you go. Melee attack speed. Reduced attack speed. And then, you know, I don't want to be super pigeonholed into melee void damage. But the one that... let's go all the way to the top. The one that I saw... Skill changes, Sentinel skill changes, Smite. And I saw Dread's video on this, and I think he agrees. The keen affix for Adorn, he said it in the video, and I agreed with him. The keen affix for Adorned Rye Idols now grants 10 to 25% chance to trigger Smite. That's awesome. That's amazing, right? An increased chance. We've only had 4 to 9%, but it's this. It now has a trigger limit. Against single targets, it's not that bad. Let's go to everyone's favorite testing grounds. Right, now let's go up to a single target. So remember, there's going to be a limit every 2 seconds of 10. Against a single target, that's not too bad. Sure, maybe every once in a while I'll get like 13 procs. To have more consistent procs, I think would be better, right? Against a single target. So your bosses, your big enemies, your random enemy you ran into. I think that's going to be a great change. because you can stack 2 of those idols, especially if you have them at 25%. That's a 50% chance. You maybe even stack 3 of those idols, and if they're all at 25%, that's a 75% chance. You're going to be able to get a lot of upfront damage real quick within those 2 seconds, and then, you know, reposition, do whatever you got to do, right? It's this. It's the groups, right? You get yourself a nice, large radius going, and then you go here. We're procking more. We're definitely procking more than 10 per 2 seconds against a group. And that's going to hurt for the smite builds, because normally you're not trying to get the damage of your hammer throws up. You're trying to get your spell crit up. You're trying to get your smites to proc real fast. And that's why everybody likes the smite hammer throw, right? You can bypass this node, the reduced cast speed. You can bypass this by having your hammers proc it, and if you have the right amount of idols, so 9%, 8%. So like if you had 9, 9, 9, you know, 4 times 5, 50 minus 4. If you all had 9s, that's a 46% chance max. Now, I've never had all 9% in here just because I also valued the 2 other affixes, which in this case is chance to shred. But you can see even at like a 43% chance to proc against a group, we're definitely procking more than 10 per 2 seconds. It's kind of hard to tell right now because there's so much going on screen, but I did record a video, so let me pull up the video, and then we'll try and slow it down. All right, so here we are. I'm gonna get okay, so we got 2 procs right there. We're at about 8 seconds into the video. Just say 8.5. 2 procs, 3 procs, 4 procs, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're 1 second in, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 perhaps? Okay. Definitely a lot more than 10 within 2 seconds. One, two, three, 4. Yeah. So stop it right around there. So yeah, I think it's going to be an overall damage reduction at the high end. This is, you know, you got T7s throwing attack speed. No, I mean that's a T6. But imagine if you had T7, T7, T7. You're just going like crazy here, and then you proc something like your volatile reversal. You proc your holy aura. You're getting all these extra sources. So what I think's gonna have to happen. Now the change is done now, right? If they revert it, fine. But I think what that's going to allow us to do is maybe only put like 3 of these idols. Or maybe 2 for the 50%. Kind of get back to what we were doing anyway, right? So 2 at 25. And then we could put something else here. We can put like health. We can put like a Throne of Ambition. And just go with it from there. I do think that is a little bit of a nerf, unfortunately. What I do think this will do is it'll open up more options at the lower end, especially if like you're leveling. Like, let's say you start a new cycle, you're kind of running through, and at some point you get one of these idols. I don't think they have a level requirement, but you're not going to be finding. I don't think you're going to be finding these right off the get. So let's say you get one of these idols early on, and it's like an 18%. That'd be equal to having two of these 9%, right? Right? And you throw that on there, and you happen to have a wand with like spell damage or something, and you're like level 30, 35, 40, something like that. And you just throw one of those in there. That could be a great way to play. Right? You're not going to be super worried about the 10 cap because you probably don't have T7s on your gear. So you're not going to be throwing any a whole lot anyway, and you can go with it. It's also, I think, going to work out pretty well with something like Disintegrating Aura, which is getting changed too. Let's go back up to the top. It's under Hammer Throw. Or we can just scroll down there because apparently it doesn't want to work right now. I mean, I guess I could have just stayed on Smite and scrolled up. Yeah. So Disintegrating Aura now costs 8 from 12, right? And then it comes with a minus 20% attack speed. I mean, it's a throwing attack, so minus 20% throwing attack speed. The damage has been increased, right? The damage effectiveness has been increased all the way up to 200%. Then rapid disintegration has been reduced by, been reduced by 2 to total 4. So what I'm curious about, sure, they lowered the mana cost to 8, but then they removed 2 of these points. So I'm assuming we can only reduce the mana cost by 4. So overall, yes, this is a reduction in mana cost, but it's assuming you put all 6 points here. Let's say it's at the high end of minus 4 mana cost. And it originally cost 12, but now it's 8 minus 4. It's going to reduce the cost down to 4. It's still not too bad. It's going to give you a little bit more damage, assuming they don't alter the numbers of Disintegrating Aura. It's a buff, no matter what. And you also don't have to commit 7 points to Disintegrating Aura to get the full effect. You're now only have to commit to 5. Which allows you to put more points into, I don't know, Ballista. So I do think this is going to be a buff to Void Storm. For sure. And because Void Storm, the only reason why we needed a proc smite on Void Storm was for the slow effect. The damage was fine, but we were more focused on the dots on that build. So the damage was fine. It was cool. It was gravy. It was whatever, but I'm not as worried about that. But for a build like this, where you're trying to get as many smites as possible off, and so you stack all this throw and attack speed, it is going to be a little bit of a nerf. And we'll have to see. It could just, like, I don't want to blow it way out of proportion, but I kind of did with the title of this video. Rip Hammerdin, ? Was Smite Hammerdin. One thing I was thinking though, now that we can more reliably proc Smite, what if instead of going Spiral, you went something like Nova? All right. So you take these two off for the Vortex, and then you put a point over here. So that's already a -4 mana, a -8, a +8 mana cost gone. And you're using something like Nova, and then you're pointing it right at the enemy because now you know for certain you can be proccing, Smite like up to 100% guarantee. And then you still stack your thrown attack speed. Boom, 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 boom. It could be worth it. It could be worth it. And you're not building physical. You're not like going down here and grabbing all this stuff. You're just using this now as a more reliable way. Hey, what up, Air Dragon? We're just talking about the patch notes, sir. How you doing? I might, honestly, with the changes to Disintegrating Aura, I might actually cycle start as Disintegrating Aura. Like, I was already going to start as a Void Knight. I might actually check this out. Disintegrate was I saw that. I didn't even bother reading because I've never played Disintegrate at all. And I have no point of reference since I've never played it. The changes to Disintegrating Aura are good. It's an overall damage buff. Now, we're not going to have the attack speed, but you can still go over here, grab this stuff. I might actually try it out, see if I can get it to work. You know, 1 point, 3 points, so 4 points, 5 points. 5 points in Hammer Throw, and we get Disintegrating Aura. And then we spec into Void Knight. Right? We spec into Void Knight, and we try and grab some points in Sorrow and Steel. Could be an upgrade. You know. Yeah, what did you think of the Disintegrate changes there, Dragon? As somebody who's played a lot of Disintegrate, I haven't, so. Are they good for you? Oh, yeah, right. Well, let's... Okay, so let's do some basic math. That's 9, 7, 6, 8, 17, 23 plus 7. So we're at a 30% chance to smite on hit. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Okay, let me just finish these guys off. Oh, what? I got stunned. Okay, so 9 and 7, 16 plus 6, 22. 16 plus 6, 22 plus 8, 30, yeah. So oh, I had some really bad math. I had some really bad math. I hope somebody doesn't go back and watch me like, I'm freaking moron. Yeah. The high end would be a 36% chance to cast Smite. Not, yeah. My bad. I was saying 46. I was adding 10 out of nowhere. Sorry, chat. Well, that was a lot to digest in text. They made lots of quality of life changes, and I think they made big swings by making you don't have to have gamblers or ignivars. Right. I noted that. Is it an actual nerf? It's... Okay, so here's the thing. Right now, I have a 30% chance to proc. Right? So at 30% chance to proc, I'm procking a lot. Against single targets, Anthony, it's going to be a buff. Right? You're going to have a more reliable way. And you don't have to stack all the idols if you don't want to. But when you go into a big group of enemies, you're going to be proccing generally more than 10 per 2 seconds. See, like, it'll be a big buff for, like, instances like that, like we just had, where nothing's happening against, like, these single targets. But when you're going into a big group of enemies and they all start procking, even with my 30% chance right now, I'm missing, like, the high end is 36% chance. So they're more just homogenizing the flow of damage. Because normally you'd be like, okay, you get a whole bunch of 9%, and then you stack throwing attack speed out the wazoo. That's not going to be as needed anymore. I do think it's a little bit of a nerf with the current way that we play. But that could free up options, if that makes sense. If you stack 3 of those at 25% and have a 75% chance, and then you throw on something like a Throne of Ambition or, yeah, just visually counting. It's kind of hard because, 2 seconds is not that long. And some of these are proccing so fast. Sometimes we're hitting like 3, 4, 5, 6 times real quick. And I'm not even at the max that you can get with the current amount of idols. Right? I have 9%, a 6%, a 7%, and an 8%. That's 30%. Here. We'll go here to everybody's favorite place to test stuff. So against a single target, it's good. Yeah, I think it's going to be really good for leveling too, because like, let's say you find a 25%, right? Like I'm at a 30% chance to proc right now. And you're seeing how often I'm procking. So let's say you're level 40, level 50, and you find one of these. I don't know when these start dropping. They don't have a level requirement, but that's probably because, you know, at level 1, you have no idle slots. But let's say you find one of these at level 40, 45, 50, and it's like 18%, 25%. I think that, like, you could justify just throwing one of those on there, getting yourself a wand, and then going to town with Smite and Hammer Throw. I think what this is gonna hurt is the late game. It's deeper into the cycle. You've played a ton of Sentinel. You got T7 throwing attack speeds out the wazoo, right? Or high T6s. And so you could throw these hammers like super fast. There's going to be definitely diminishing returns in that regard. Against a single target, it'll be great. But then you come down here, right? And you got your volatile reversal. You got your holy aura. You got your javelin. All that. Well, I don't know if javelin gives attack speed. We're definitely proccing more than 10 per 2 seconds. This is where it's going to hurt. And like you said, it'll probably feel a little bit more clunky. You run into a big group, all of a sudden, Warthog flying through the air, smite effect goes off. And then for half a second to a second, you're just doing hammer throws. You're like, what? And then all of a sudden, flies through it again. I think that's where it's going to hurt the most. But it could just be a change that we adapt to. You know, we don't have to use all 4 idols. We throw on like 2, 25%. And then all of this room right here opens up for health, Throne of Ambition, something else. Because you're not as worried because there's no point trying to get the maximum chance to proc. Or maybe you get the maximum chance to proc and instead of doing spirals or like spirals and it orbiting, you do something like Avatar of the Spire and you're just throwing it in a line. And if you have a 100% chance to proc, you can more reliably just throw in a line than waiting for the randos to the random chances to proc to come by when it's swirling around you. Checking back, I do think that the Disintegrate Aura got buffed as I think they freed up like 4 to 6 skill points. Right. So let's talk about that. For anybody who's seen my Void Storm build where we use Disintegrating Aura, it's a 7-point investment into Hammer Throw. And typically, I mean, I guess you could have like a +2, +3 to Hammer Throw if you want to get some extra points, but this is going to free up a couple points. So what they did, you put 1 point into Disintegrating Aura. Well, actually, let's go with the total investment. Assuming this weighted hammers isn't changed, you got to put 3 points. So 1 point for rapid throw, 3 points for weighted hammers. You're 4 points deep now. 1 point for Disintegrating Aura, you're 5. Now, for rapid disintegration, they've reduced this by 2. This is going to be a 4-point total now. But they've also reduced the mana cost and upped the damage of regular Disintegrating Aura. So, assuming this is only going to give you a -4 to an 8 mana cost, it's going to cost you 4 mana per hammer with Disintegrating Aura. That's going to give you more points to put it into something like Ballista. You can probably max out Ballista now because you have 2 extra points to deal with. Or put more points into Catapult. Or, you know, maybe you want to do Disintegrating Aura where the hammers are orbiting around you. You got some more points to deal with that. So there's going to be options. There's going to be build options, Anthony, but I think current Smite Hammerdin builds are going to have to adapt to accommodate that. Instead of just telling you, get a whole bunch of 9s, get all T7 throwing attack speeds, and go to town. They're probably working on it right now. Yeah, but you're probably wondering, when is it going to be done? I don't know. Maybe by Sunday? It'd be cool to play with the build planner. It's already updated. Nice. Go and have fun, my friend. Sure, I'll take it. This hyperfocal talent they change and disintegrate is just sick. At 400 mana, I'm getting 50% multiplicative damage increase to lightning. Oh! And it does not cap. Ooh. So int and mana stacking is going to be sick. Nice. And I get a whole stat line back because I no longer care all about crit chance. Nice. Oh shit. It actually got me. It's the only way to progress, so we're just gonna have to do it. Hey, what did you think of the gold nerf, Air Dragon? I mean, I don't know how much of a nerf it is. They basically made it easier to get gold earlier on, but less gold at higher corruption. I think that could be better for everybody. I mean, overall, I think it's a gold reduction. But I think that'll be better for everybody in the long run. Because if you're somebody who doesn't have the time and you can't push to 1,000 corruption, it definitely seems like they're trying to de-incentivizing pushing that high of corruption, but still saying you can if you want. And I think that's fine. Jeez. Ambivalent. I've never had to really think about it. I think gold is an excuse in all games to time gate behind interaction time, which I'm not pro. If you get an item and can craft or do whatever with it, just let me do it. Sure, it will kill off the gambler in town, but again, not a design mechanic I think is good. It's more lazy. Right. If I could still earn enough gold just to buy stash tabs, I'll be fine. But I think... Wait, I died in the same echo? Okay, that echo is cursed, man. I think... For me personally, if I could still buy stash tabs, I'll be fine. I'm going to play Circle of Fortune, but I don't think I'm going to play solo account found this upcoming cycle. I think I kind of got the whole competing on the leaderboard out of my system. Because then I saw that, like, because I was thinking, oh, I'll have a better chance to compete because they're bringing it down in level, and theoretically that did happen, but you still had some, like, people are going to figure out broken builds, and I'm just not going to have the time. So if I just play a regular cycle character, I can do both Circle of Fortune, which I'm going to start off with, and then assuming the cycle is going to be like 4 or 5 months like this last one was, I can then go on over to Merchant's Guild and try that one out. I'll probably do a few arena runs just for myself. Did I beat my old record? The end. Right, I got you. Well, Well, and then you could still. Oh, hey, what up, Rico? You could still do the old classic. You go to the. What's it called? The Abomination timeline. Follow the Abomination and then take the gold buff. And to be fair, they said the gold increases are going to start dropping off dramatically around 500 corruption. I don't really like. I'll go to like 600 corruption. This build right now is doing 700 corruption, but for the most part, I feel comfortable between 300 to 700 corruption, depending on what build I'm playing. I don't think the gold change is going to affect me too much. It's going to affect the people who are pushing to 3,000 corruption. What you been up to, Rico? About to get LE and I want to play, see if I get the same feeling as playing D4 and taking a break, a long break from D4. You feel burned out? I got you. I got you. Yeah, man, I think you'll have a blast on last Epoch. I think you'll have a blast. Give it a shot. See how it feels. Yeah, one thing they also said is they're removing flat health regen from boots. Honestly, they're moving it to the flat health regen to amulet. I think that'll be an okay change. What? Oh, you already said that. I was about to read what I already read. No, the leveling will be slower than D4. If hitting level 100 is your in-game goal, it's definitely going to be goal. It's going to be slower because I don't understand why they're doing this, but they're increasing how long it takes to get to level 100. Levels 98, 99, and 100 are going to be longer to get to. Now, leveling in last Epoch compared to like how leveling used to be in Diablo, it's way better. But the way leveling is now in Diablo's faster, for sure. I wonder if they made that leveling change because they're adding the race. You know, they're adding leaderboards to see who hits level 100 first. I feel like they're kind of artificially inflating it, if you ask me.
My shadow will cover this world once more. My vengeance will be painful. hates, this despair, oblivion burns within me. This world earned its truth. Do you deny it? My shadow will cover this world once more. That's it.
So how long did it take you to get to 100? I mean, I'm cool learning the game, taking your time. To hit level 100, it depends on how much I'm playing.
Oblivion burns within me.
Maybe
This world
maybe 30, 40 hours.
deny it.
Like, I'm trying to take into account the fact that they're making it longer now.
My shadow will
I don't know how long it'll take me to hit level 100. Maybe 30 to 40 hours. The thing is, by the time you hit level 95, 96 or whatever, you're almost like you're pretty much fully geared, ready to go. Like, you're, well, not fully geared, but your power threshold is almost there. Because they're not reducing, they're not making it longer to get to like level 95. They're making the last 3 levels longer, which I don't understand, but there you go. I will also say, Rico, it's been a while since I've leveled a character to 100. I never used a timer. I just played the game. So I am kind of throwing out the 30 to 40 hour mark. There we go. I guess it'll also depend on how good your build is. Like, the first character I'm going to play this cycle will probably take me the longest to hit level 100. Because if I decide to make another character, I'm probably going to already have, like, what we call twink gear that I can throw onto them, allowing that character to push faster and hit higher levels faster as well. I will say, though, it is a change I do not agree with. Because for some people, hitting level 100, it's like, okay, I can really min-max now. You know, like, they have that thought process. I'm no longer, you know, trying to get that. And you make it longer, they're going to be like, oh my God, you know what? Never mind. Like, if I had all of this same gear right now and I was a level 95 Paladin as opposed to a level 100, I mean, I'd be like minusing what? 5 points from Light of Raye. That's probably what I'd take out of. I'd probably level up this one last. Here. Here, I can tell, I can give you a definitive answer. Actually, no, I don't need to do that. I could do you one better. Let's go to Last Epoch Tools. Let's go to my builds. Let's pull up. Right. Yeah, I just want to play the game and take my time with the game and learn as much as I can. Yeah, I think you'll be fine. Yeah, I think you'll be fine, Rico. Okay, so let's, on the passives, let's remove 5 points. All right, so instead of doing 96% increased fire and lightning damage and movement speed, I would do 56. Increase, not more, increase. And then let's reduce the level to 95. Okay, I would lose roughly, I would lose somewhere around 50 health, 60 health. I'd lose some movement speed. But for the most part, if I had this level of gear on a level 95, we're talking a few percentage points. A few percentage points. Yeah, so I think you'll be fine, Rico.
Stand down or die.
Hey, Rico, have you been playing the first Descendant? Oh, and then Healing Hands. So, what is it? The urgent healing. This got cut down. Healing Hands used to heal for 100. That's now going to be reduced to 50. Kind of stinks, but it's whatever. I wonder. Yeah, I just want to. Okay, I've got to walk away from the build creator for now. I'm just going to lose my mind going over how to do this, but I see a route where I don't need to focus on regen mana will disintegrate. Nice. No, I haven't. I'm starting to get annoyed with the whole grind thing. Why can't we just have fun with games like we used to at Babbling Bike? You know, everything's like an RPG now, so to speak. I mean, depending on your definition of RPG, everybody's kind of putting it. The reason why is, you know, some people kind of treat playing video games as like an alternate way to work. I mean, that's what I do, right? And plus, if you're grinding and you like the game, It's going to keep you in the game longer, potentially. And if you're in the game longer, maybe you start looking at that microtransaction store. Oh. I can reduce the grind if I swipe the credit card and spend $2 on a 3-day buff? XP buff? Ooh. I might do that. You know, I don't have as much time. Fun? Games are not about fun. They're about engagement hours. Engagement is equal to fun, right? Yeah. So I think Divine Bolt. So I think the damage, have you tried it yet? And if so, how do you like it? Yeah, I did. I downloaded it yesterday. So I'm about 2.5 hours deep into the game. I've completed a couple acts in the campaign. I think it feels pretty smooth. As somebody who played a lot of Warframe, it feels like a Warframe clone for sure. But I've only bought one thing in the game. And I wasn't going to purchase anything in this game, but I had the game booted up on my Xbox. It's cross progression, right? So I can play on PC, I can play on Xbox, all that good stuff. It's free to play. I don't need Xbox Live. I like that. So I'm playing on my Xbox, and I go and I look at the skins. There is this realistic looking panda. Humanoid, right? So instead of paws, they got hands, and they're in a suit, and they come with like a little back item, which is a baby panda with a sippy cup. And the baby panda moves and is like sipping from the cup, and my wife saw that. Here's the thing. My wife's favorite animal in the world is a panda. My wife loves panda. So she told me, I don't care if you don't play this game that much, you're buying that skin. So I bought the skin. Also, randomly, I played First Descendant. My quibbles with it is, 1, it's just a Korean Warframe. 2, there are some characters that are just straight up useless. And 3, Bunny. I like Bunny a lot, but she is just better than like every other character. I guess it depends on your playstyle. I think what's cool about Bunny being such a great character to use is you can unlock her really quick without, like, you can buy her right off the rip. Or you can play I played the game for 2 hours and I've already had her unlocked for a while. You know, I farmed up all the stuff just like Warframe to unlock the character, and now I can use her. She's not really my play style. I like tanky characters. When I played Warframe, my favorite characters were Rhino and Wukong. So I went with Ajax. Yeah, she's probably got some of the best clear DPS in the game. But my favorite character is Ajax. From what I've seen, he's like, what, one of 2 tank characters? The other one's Kyle. Ajax just, like, he has so much area control. He can spawn a Halo bubble. He can spawn a Titan wall. He can shoot through those things and protect his allies and just hose everything down with guns. Bunny, though, I can definitely see her being like a high-end DPS clear and speed running for sure. So I'll probably play her for a little while at some point. I've been playing off stream. I don't want to stream that game. Mostly because I'm known for action RPGs. When I stream other games that are not that, I feel like YouTube doesn't treat me well. I feel like people are like, oh, he's not playing action RPGs. You got mad hours in Warframe? How many hours do I have in Warframe? I loved Rhino, and honestly, Rhino was like my main until I discovered Wukong existed. I have 442 hours in Warframe. I last played it a year and a half ago. Yeah, I got a lot of hours in Warframe. And, you know, after a while, I just found myself playing Wukong over and over again. I got Prime Wukong, you know, I was able to get enough platinum and buy it from somebody. And you have about 300 or 3,000? 300 hours in Warframe. So, yeah, you and I are not that far apart in Warframe hours. I feel like what's going to be happening now between the First Descendant and Warframe is the First Descendant is kind of like Last Epoch, except not as good. And it's being compared to Warframe, much like Last Epoch's being compared to Path of Exile. And Warframe is a game that's been out for roughly around the same amount of time. It's got years upon years of content updates and refinement. First Descendant feels... Oh, I'm 3 hours deep. Excuse me. I'm 3 hours deep into First Descendant. First Descendant, I like the playstyle. You know, I was never all that crazy over the Warframe, like, movement, like, slides, ninja flips, jumps, all that. So I kind of like the it's not exactly Gears, it's more like Division over the shoulder play style. And unlike Warframe, it's got a lot more looting options, like weapons drop all over the place, you can upgrade weapons, whereas in like Warframe you got to like craft weapons. You played 5 hours, but 4 of that was messing with the graphics settings. My computer runs it at 60 FPS, 1080p, but I look, my 6700 XT on high graphics, it's definitely using a lot of that graphics card for sure. So, going back to what I was saying about this game, I think Divine Bolt, Healing Hands, Divine Bolt, I think will still be a good option for damage. I don't know how it'll be with Divine, like, because Divine Barrier is getting gutted. So not only is the healing from Healing Hands being cut in half to 50, Divine Barrier is now only going to scale off 20% of that. So Divine Barrier used to scale 100% off of the value of 100. So 100 health equals 100 ward. Plus you scale it with all your healing effectiveness and all that. Well, now this is being cut in half. And then this is being cut by 3/4. It's only going to be, no, not even 3/4. It's going down to 20%. It's nutty. Five-sixths? Four-fifths. There we go. Yeah, that's right. It's a 4/5 reduction. Oh, do you also see Immolator's Ablation got gutted? Oh my god, it got gutted, man. Oh, dude, that belt is gone. And it's... That was one thing I was wondering, if Immolators would stay. And sadly, it's gone. It might still be best in slot for some builds. But bro, okay, let's look at... Okay, so let's look at this one. 97% chance to ignite. That's not being changed. The range of +4 to 6 spell damage of either fire or for fire. So +5 spell damage for fire and necrotic skills per stack of ignite on you, up to 40. That's being cut down to 2 spell damage for fire and necrotic skills, up to a max of 20. Bro. So the maximum... Hey, yo, how are you, my dude? I'm doing good, man. We've been talking patch notes, playing, all that good stuff. We're more playing now. We've been talking a lot of patch notes. What about you, CJ? What have you been up to today? All good, nothing much. Have the family visiting for the weekend, so you've been taking them around. Oh, nice, nice. You know, I looked at the patch notes. There were some changes. It's cool. I'm obviously mostly focusing on the Sentinel changes. I can definitely create a TLDR. I haven't really been focusing too much on the other class changes. I don't really have a huge point of reference when it comes to those because, you know, I play a lot of Sentinel. I've shared a lot of my opinions on the changes they made to Sentinel. The biggest change that I saw, like obviously we knew Divine Bolt, you know, the ward build where you're casting bolts. So the damage of that build is going to be relatively staying the same. It's getting nerfed a little bit. Not much. The ward generation we already knew was going to get cut way down. The change I did not see coming, and a lot of people did not see coming, is Hammer Smite builds are definitely getting changed. Like this was something I did not think was going to happen. Well, we all knew Warlock was going to get changed. It happens every time they release a new class. They overtune it, everybody plays it for a while, and then it's like, oh, well, frick. So, if you remember the Void Storm build I was doing, I think that's, we can all agree, is getting a buff with these changes. So I'm excited to try that out. Healing Hands, we already knew was going to get really changed. But it's this change that I don't think anybody saw coming. The Smite change. The keen affix for adorned Raye idols now grant 10 to 25% chance to trigger Smite on throwing hits, up from 4 to 9%. So that's huge, right? Right? Like you could normally max out. The Smite change was really unexpected. Yeah, I don't think anybody was expecting that. So you can max out at 36% chance to Smite, but it now has a trigger limit. See, I don't really think that's going to come up a whole hell of a lot. Like earlier on, if you're leveling, if you're fighting against a single boss, this change will be awesome for that. But what it's going to do is like what I've been doing, going around hitting these big groups of enemies. When you're hitting a big group of enemy or in the arena or whatever with this, you would be proccing Smite like crazy. We went to the arena where we went up to the training dummies, and I was just whirling. I only have a 30% chance to cast Smite on throwing hits, so it's only 30%, right? And I was counting. I think at one point I hit like 18 smites in the 2 seconds. So obviously that's almost a 50% damage reduction if you want to look at it. I feel like it's gonna be better in the early game, the mid game, but when you start getting into the late game stages of this build where you got like T7 throwing attack speeds or high end T6s and you're just smiting like crazy, it's going to make you rethink like how much throwing attack speed you're going to need. It could also open up options. Normally we use the spiral and hammer vortex to spawn smites because that gives you the most options. You can just get a ton of throwing attack speed, get a huge swarm of hammers, and even though you only have a 36% chance to proc smite, with that many hammers, you're going to be proccing a ton. You could go down like this route, remove the spiraling and go for like Nova, right? Where you throw it in a line all around you. And if you have like a guaranteed, you got 75%, 100% chance to proc smite, you can do something like that and kind of pinpoint where your smites are going to go, as opposed to having this big old storm going around you. So definitely a change I was not expecting. I don't really think too many people were expecting that change. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm going to reserve final judgment for that, but initial thoughts are this is a bit of a nerf to the late game stages of Smite Hammerdin. Which kind of sucks because, you know, in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, okay, yeah, we already know Divine Bolt's going to get nerfed. That's okay. I can always do my hammer builds. I like my hammer builds better anyway, right? And then this change happens and it's like, well, frick. Oh yeah, we'll definitely test it out. First initial thought is don't use all 4 idols. There's going to be diminishing returns. Sure, you got a 100% chance to proc. Whoop-de-doo, you're only going to proc 10 smites and then it's going to feel kind of clunky. If you proc all 10 smites in half a second, then you got a second and a half of no smites. It'd probably be better to use those idols elsewhere. You know, add more health, use the Throne of Ambition, something like that. Because I will say, right now, in its current state, I feel like I have to use all 4 idols to get the maximum chance to proc. With something like that, I'd be fine with a 75, a 50% chance to proc Smite, and then I use different idols. You know, I get more health, I get more resistances, I increase Smite's damage, right? I do other things instead of having to spend all my time, all my idle slots trying to get Smite to proc. So we'll see. Maybe in the end it turns out to be a huge W, right? Right, because here's what I'm thinking. Okay, so what if we took away 2 of these idols? Now let's say we didn't need this either, right? I could fit let's just, you know, I could fit something like this right here, right? I've now just, I mean, these top out at 54%. So let's say I had 2 of these and then the suffix was something I wanted as well, right? That's going to be 100, like assuming this is maxed, that would be 108% increased damage to Smite. And let's say these are both 25%, right? I could then fit like resistance here. I can fit something there. And then I got these 2 idols. You know, 50% chance to proc Smite, more than what we can already top out at now. And then we throw these in there, and then we just increase our damage by over 100% on Smite. Could be a thing. You know, I was being a little cheeky when I said, you know, rip Smite Hammerdin in the title. You know, I put a question mark there. I was being a little cheeky. I don't think it's going away. I think we're just going to have to adapt to that change. Like, this could be a good, like these idols right here, 54% Smite, 54 health. You grab 2 of those, that might just end up being an overall W. An extra 108 health, an extra 108 increase damage to Smite. That might end up being a W, just saying. And then you have 2 of these right here, 25, 25, and then you max out let's say you have 25 chance to proc Smite, 75, 76% chance to shred armor on hit. And you have 2 of these. So you're already looking at 52% chance to shred armor with throwing attack. 50% chance to smite if you had the 2 maxed out idols. And then you have that increased damage. You're getting the extra health. Or you can do chance to shred armor on fire skills. We're using a fire skill. It could be a thing, for sure. Or what you could do, you could remove this. Okay, let's go back to the idle tab and let's just grab like 2 of these random idols, right? We throw that in there. We then grab something like this, right? Slap that in there. And you grab something like that. Boom. Could be a thing. I definitely think there will be vast diminishing returns to use all 4 of these and get a 100% chance to proc. In my opinion, that would be a vast diminishing return. Oh, exactly. We won't know until we test it. Also, are you playing Legacy or Cycle? I'm playing Cycle. What I'm probably going to do, though, CJ, is I'm probably just going to play normal. I played solo count found this cycle because I wanted to compete on the arena leaderboard, and I figured I had a better chance if I was just playing solo. And all that taught me is that no matter how good my build is, no matter what, somebody out there is always going to find a more busted build and have way more time to fine tune it and then do something like this. You know, I played a busted build. I had time to do that. That's it. You know, on Sunday, we can fire up the busted Smite build again. The not Smite, the busted Holy Bolts build again, and go to town. Maybe we can increase this. Maybe we can get up here to number 8. Even if I played all day, I don't think I'm going to be getting up into this range. No way. Oh, I didn't even notice. This dude. This was the original number 1, was this dude. Right, sure. You could say that. Like right now, the top leaderboard is all controlled by one guy. The top 3 different classes. Forge Guard, Paladin, Void Knight. Yeah. I'm never going to have that much time to compete. So I think I'm just going to do a normal next cycle, and then that'll give me the option to play Circle of Fortune first, which is what I want to do. And then after that, I can play Merchant's Guild. I've never played Merchant's Guild because I've been solo account found all cycle. What I might do, like, I'm going to play, like, the first 2 days, for sure. I took those days off. I'm going to be playing cycle content. Right, yeah, I see what you mean. First 2 days, I'm going to do cycle content. Maybe even the first few days, I'm going to do cycle content. But when I get to next weekend, I'm probably going to go into Legacy onto these characters I already have, and then test these builds out and be like, are they still viable? What changes do has to be made? Now, I'm not going to hold myself to that. I might just be loving the cycle way too much, so. Okay, no doorbell. No doorbell.
Shadow will cover this world once more. Pathetic. My vengeance will be paid in ash. This hate, this despair, oblivion burns within me. This world earns rule. Do you deny it? My shadow will cover this world once more. Pathetic. My vengeance will be paid in ash. This hates, this despair, oblivion burns within me. This world earns do you deny it? My shadow will cover this world once more. Pathetic. This hates, this despair, oblivion burns within me. This world earned its ruin. Do you deny it? Do you think my defeat changes anything? This world is already dead.
Sure, let's fight good old Orbis. We'll probably die. Called it. Yeah, I'm just gonna find a different one. Let's just keep pushing, find a different one. Let's go back to this timeline. This Echo.
Stand down or die.
Where were all my hammers going? Like, all my hammers were despawning super quick. Forget that, dude. Yeah, forget that. I'm going over here. It's one thing I wish they would have addressed. Hammers despawning out of nowhere.
Stand down or die. Stand down.
All right, guys. I'm gonna shut down early today. It's getting really freaking hot in the office right now. We're going through a bit of a heat wave here in California, so for this area, it's kind of hot. These old houses designed to trap in heat as opposed to keeping them cool. And of course, like, nobody has air conditioning out here. Computers burning up. I'm sweating my butt off. So I'm just gonna end it right now. Thank you so much for everybody who made it out. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm not sure what class I'll be playing. I might be looking at something. Maybe we'll just do some arena runs. Maybe we'll just sell off all the items in my stash. Who knows? Anyway, you guys take care. Thank you for being here, CJ. Thanks, man. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.